Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I am really excited to share my conversation with Gina Williams. She, I like this phrase, takes the guesswork out of digital marketing and helps small businesses get more local clients online. So needed for so many small businesses. For 10 years, she was the COO of a small construction company. And then she co-founded and later sold a e-commerce craft beer business, which I'm super intrigued by and can't wait to learn more about. She herself is eager to find a way to help others reach their goals. She authored her first best-selling book, amazing, congratulations, and became an expert in keyword search. She really focuses now on helping people, again, grow their business through what we like to call SEO or search engine optimization. And she really focuses on the measurability of that. You know, how do we know that we're getting our return on investment? So welcome to the show today, Gina.
Thanks so much. I'm so glad to be here. Glad to have the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to share your story. You're a relatively new Hera Hub member, so I'm excited to get to know you personally. So with that, we always want the backstory behind our entrepreneur. Take us back. What part of the world did you grow up in, and take us along your career path?
So I'm a San Diego native. There are few and far between, not too many of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did live in Las Vegas for a chunk of time, but I've spent most of my life here in this lovely place. And I jumped right into entrepreneurship. It's kind of, I always say it's in my blood. My both of my parents, my grandparents, everybody I knew was an entrepreneur. So it was kind of just automatic for me to start thinking that way. And in fact, I started my first business when I was 13.
Wow. What was that? What was that business?
My best friend and I wanted desperately to go back to Michigan where I had some family, and I wanted to take her to my family's cabin, which is up on Lake Huron. And her mom said that if we could raise half of the money for her flight, then she could go. So we brainstormed and we decided to create a business around washing people's cars. And so we loaded up a couple of 5-gallon buckets and carried a vacuum cleaner and a hose, like everything you need to wash cars. And we walked around our neighborhood and washed people's cars. And lo and behold, in just less than a month, I think we had all the money we needed to take her to Michigan. So it was a successful first business.
Yeah, I love the initiative. That's awesome. What a great story. That's fantastic. So it's interesting. You're a bit unique, obviously being a native San Diegan. Very few, as you mentioned, folks who live here now were born and raised here. But also being from a family of entrepreneurs. I talk to so many people on this podcast in particular that, you know, when they finally made the decision to go out on their own, everybody told them they were crazy and, you know, why are you going to leave this cushy job? I also share your background and experience in that, you know, grew up with only entrepreneurs, and really that's you know, what I knew. But I decided to take a little different path right out of the gate. So it's really awesome that you launched straight into entrepreneurship. So any other businesses you had along your childhood journey?
That was the only one from my childhood from that point. Well, after we made the money for her to go back to Michigan with us, it was like 110 degrees. We were like, we should keep doing this. But, you know, it was 110 degrees in Las Vegas, carrying all this heavy stuff throughout the neighborhood. And so we were like, forget it. So that was kind of the end of that business. And from then I launched into a dream of wanting to work at SeaWorld. I just had always loved marine animals, and so shortly after high school. And in fact, it was funny you mentioned that so many people think their children or family members are crazy when they want to become entrepreneurs. My mom was the opposite. I got out of high school and she was trying to convince me not to go to college because she's like, why are you going to spend that time when you could go, right into making money and starting a business? And there's a draw or a pull the other way as well when you come from a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did
Yep.
go to college and finish that. And I moved out here to back to San Diego rather.
So tell us, after college, what career path did you take?
So I had a few kind of entry level jobs in the corporate world where I was just doing some administrative work, and that's when I knew that for sure the corporate world was not for me. I just had a heck of a time with, I guess, the limited range of what I could do to solve problems. That it was really bothersome to just sort of have to sit back and go through the SOPs and do things the way somebody else thought was best, and it was awfully frustrating. So I didn't stay in the corporate world for very long. I did enough to do a couple of big panel interviews that were kind of scary, but but beyond that, I sort of decided, no, small business is what I know. And so then I had the opportunity to come in and start working the operations side of a small construction company, and I jumped at that, which put me right back in my wheelhouse, where I got to kind of look at what needed to be fixed and find solutions to make things better.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I want to talk about that a little bit more. And also talk a bit more here in regards to your out of the gate, your mom telling you don't go to college, you went to college anyways, which, of course is not usually what kids hear from their parents, right? Which is
right.
Awesome. I had a very similar experience. Neither of my parents graduated from college. And my dad came to me and said, hey, I've saved some money. It's your choice. You can put a down payment on a house, start a business, or go to college. It's up to you. So didn't quite dissuade me, but he very much had that same mentality for himself as your mom did, which was, why would I go waste 4 years of, I could be earning money, right? So,
right.
I can totally empathize with that. So, but one thing I want to talk about is your experience at SeaWorld, because, of course, living here in San Diego, and I think SeaWorld is known all over the world, I meet so many people, and especially children, that dream come true to work at SeaWorld, but very few people did. They never made it there, so to speak. So was that just a very unique experience, I would imagine?
It was to this day, it was one of my favorite jobs. It was really, really wonderful. Yeah, when I was, because you're right, it was a total dream come true for me as well to have the opportunity to work there. And the only thing I can kind of attribute that to is I was in my younger years kind of a force to be reckoned with. Once I got my mind set on doing something, it was happening. There was no questions. Mm-hmm. And so I just, went in, and I was scared. I was petrified. Oh my gosh, you should have heard the speeches I gave in high school. Just absolutely terrified of speaking in front of people. But that was the end that I saw that I could get into at SeaWorld. And so I wrote my speech and I practiced it, and I paid for admission to get into the park to talk to educators in the park and ask them, what could I do to better my interview time. And I got some really good tips, and honestly, I think that's what sealed the deal on getting to be an educator, because it's a pretty, that particular position. I mean, there's, maybe 25 or 30 of them, but there's not that many. So it was a little bit harder to get into. But I did have biology under my belt, so that was helpful, I think. So yeah, that was really fun and unique time in my life, and I ended up being a tour guide, which you're just, I don't know, you have people's attention who've actually paid. That's something that I think all entrepreneurs should think about, especially when they're starting to, try and decide how much their services are worth. It's like once you get someone to pay for your service, you've got their attention, and you're going to be able to help them that much more because, they're invested in whatever it is that you're trying to help them do. And I think a lot of people, we're all sort of afraid to charge for our services, or we don't know how much or what's the value, but it really does make a difference in the end of what they get out of your services by charging the amount that they're really worth, what the value is.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, Gina, because that, as you said, is like the most challenging part for so many entrepreneurs. And I will say, especially female entrepreneurs, is what do I charge? Am I worth it? I mean, there's this whole self-worth thing going on for a lot of folks too underneath, this. So I definitely would love to talk about that a little more. I'm going to jump ahead to
Sure.
your current business, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about the construction company and the e-commerce craft beer business, because I'm super interested in what that is. But when you started, when you started your company, your existing business, San Diego SEO Solutions, how did you decide how you were going to charge, and what was that process like for you?
Well, so you're bringing me forward, and I'm going to take just a minor step back.
Yeah, please.
To give some more information on this business that I'm at now. So I bought a franchise in a company that does SEO and has been doing it for over 15 years. So and here's where I take a step back, is after selling Craft Beer Hound, which was our craft beer business, I was trying to figure out a way where I could really help other people. I learned in that brief, 3-year online retail business that I didn't want to sell people things. I just wanted to help them reach their goals. This was like a mantra that just kept going through my head over those 3 years since I sold that business. And so I became a health coach, and I thought maybe that was a way to go because I'm really interested in health and eating well and food as medicine. And that's when I wrote my book. But I decided that one-on-one coaching for health, I was more interested in business. So I was kind of just keeping my eyes open, honestly, for an opportunity, because what I learned in that 3-year period as well is that solo entrepreneurship is so difficult. I think some people probably do really well in it. I found that I do so much better. I've always had a partner or a team, and trying to do this health coaching thing on my own was just not a simple task for me. Not just trying to motivate myself, but not having someone to bounce ideas off of and to, collaborate with. That was a big challenge. So I was just kind of keeping my eyes open, and then this opportunity came into my view to invest in this franchise and have kind of a team that was working with me, and that I could also have some confidence in what the product that they were putting forth. And with my small business knowledge, and once I saw what they were doing and how they were approaching SEO, as you mentioned, thank you for bringing that up, for letting people know, search engine optimization. I sort of forget. I get going too quickly, and I forget to break that down for people. So yeah, search engine optimization. It's how you get found online, right? And the way that PinPoint Local is the company, the way that we approach SEO is, instead of trying to rank in that first page of Google, which I think most people know is where it's at. You want to be on that first page because so few people click through to the 100 more pages that there are. And most small businesses are, around page 13 or 15 when you put in a keyword. You can actually rank on that first page when you target your local area and you target people who are looking for accountants near me, right? People put that into, or accountants San Diego. And so that twist or that perspective on search engine optimization finally was like this aha moment for me, because in my other businesses, it was such a challenge to get up there, and you wonder if it's even possible, right? Because I'm just this little guy trying to go up against all of these huge businesses and get on that first page of Google. And so this is just really felt right in being able to help other people in small business who I know because I've done it most of my life, who are wearing too many hats, and they're trying to do all the things, and sometimes their online presence just is, maybe a website that their brother-in-law did, or maybe they paid for it to be done, but then their digital marketing consists of being on Facebook and posting. And the trouble with that strategy for digital marketing is nobody goes to Facebook when they want an accountant near me, or if they want to remodel their house, right? Or they need a plumber. That's not where they go. So social media has its place in digital marketing, absolutely, for brand recognition and building a following in that respect. But it doesn't immediately bring clients. And so that's a huge hole that needed to be filled for small businesses, I thought. And so when this opportunity came and I was looking for a team or a partner, and I was looking to help people in business reach their goals, it just seems like a match made in heaven.
I love that. That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you for that background. Really, really helpful to understand, why you stepped into this business model and what you're looking to do. And I can certainly understand that experience with the e-commerce craft beer business gave you, a unique look at that. So to back up, let's touch on this. You co-founded and then you sold an e-commerce craft beer business. So talk about that.
So my husband and I have been craft beer lovers since before it was cool. And we were really super geeky about it. And so we were pretty into that place. And after I decided to leave, I think we sold the construction company that I was managing got sold. And so I was kind of looking for a new opportunity, and I was talking with friends and family about some different ideas. They're asking what's next, and I was thinking about doing this health coaching thing at that time, which is why it came back around. Or I was like, I have this idea for craft beer, because there's all of these things that you can buy, to put in your house or to wear or whatever, that are all about being a wine lover. Like there's nothing like that for beer lovers. So that's what we did, is we sold gifts for beer lovers. And we had it was a fun time. We started it on a total shoestring budget. I made, because I had a shop of, I made mostly by hand myself all of our prototypes. And we had one of each thing. We outsourced what we needed to, and took a picture of each one, to put up on the site just to see, because we had no idea what was going to take and what wasn't. And lo and behold, one of our products took off. It was a craft or beer cap collector for craft beer lovers. And
cool.
So because I knew my husband and many other people that we knew had a box of beer caps, all different ones, in the closet. And I was like, maybe somebody would think it was neat to display these instead of having them in a box in the closet. And I guess I was right, because it took off, and we did really well. It grew really, really quickly, and it was very tiresome, because for that full first year we were making everything by hand. And then we ended up having to outsource to China. We tried to do it in the United States, and that was a whole nother learning experience. And then on our third year, we were just tired, and my partner and I, we kind of decided that this just didn't feel, not that it has to feel exciting, but it didn't feel fulfilling. We were both on this path of trying to simplify and have fewer things and kind of, pare down what we owned, and then we're spending our days trying to figure out how to get people to buy stuff. And so it just it didn't feel very authentic anymore. And so we decided, it's done well, it's doing well, we've got it systemized now to the point that we can sell it. And so we were able to sell it and move on to bigger and better things.
That is awesome. That's great. I want to pause on that because, lots of folks dream of building a business and being able to move on, but it's, easier said than done. What was that process like in selling the business? Did you find a strategic buyer? Did you use a business broker? How did you go about that?
Well, I will start off by telling you that my partner was mostly on that side of things. We ended up doing it through an auction site, and I don't remember exactly how it all went down, but there was an auction that went on, and we had a couple of people bidding on it, and we did not walk away millionaires, I will tell you that. But we walked away with a little bit in our pockets, just enough to, start something new. But that's kind of where we were. I think if we had held on to it for a little bit longer, we could have. It was on its way to being a lot more valuable. But we just weren't. We didn't have our hearts in it.
Huh. Interesting. Cool. I've never met anybody that sold their business on an auction site. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so there are a couple of different auction sites.
Huh. Very cool. Good. Thanks. I appreciate that. So let's dive back, Gina, into your business. So talk a little bit about the types of clients that you work with, and maybe a case study or two would be helpful.
So I'm just getting rolling. So I don't have too many clients under my belt yet. But the kinds of clients that I'm talking with right now and that I've helped so far are there's a landscape contractor who was trying to reach people who were not so much the do-it-yourselfers. He had a really great contact and was getting most of his business from referrals from a nursery. And we reorganized his website and redesigned it. It was actually a really good website, and it had ticked all the boxes for what makes a website rankable, which is a thing. And just to plug this, I'll give you a link to go to in a minute where I can actually do a report on anyone's website and let you know if there are any red flags that Google won't like about your website. It goes back to how it's built and how well optimized it is, not just for SEO, but just for the little bots to read the website and how quickly it loads and that kind of thing. And so he had a really good website, but his website was not speaking to the client that he was trying to target. He wanted people who weren't do-it-yourselfers, but he was getting leads from a nursery where people were there themselves, looking for plants. And so we were able to reorganize his website to where it was speaking to the right clients. And then hopefully his next step will be to tackle his SEO and be able to pinpoint people in his area, which is in Point Loma, to really pop up on those searches.
Awesome. Yeah, I can see where that. I know so many small business owners. My ex, Keith, he was a contractor. He did home remodels, and that was the constant battle is, how do you represent yourself on that line? How are you, findable? I get it. It is tricky, and it's also can be a symphony is what I like to call it, right? It's not, you don't just play one instrument and expect, everything to come your way, right? There's like 27 things you got to be doing.
And it's so interesting how it's almost across the board with most small business owners, because most people get into small business and entrepreneurship because they are passionate about something and know that they can help someone. And so that's what they're good at. But taking a step back and going, oh, well, I want clients who are X, Y, or Z, but then their website is speaking to exactly the opposite, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where sometimes you need an outside set of eyes to take a look at it and see where you could do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it isn't just contractors that I can do. That's one particular one that I'm working with, but I've got a hairstylist, and then also like business coaches, anyone really who is trying to find those local clients is who I can best serve.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely. One thing I want to dive into, Gina, just maybe some tips or things for folks who are listening, thinking about their website is quote unquote mobile friendly
Yes.
website. You want to talk about that a little bit? Just any tips or things for people to be thinking about as they look at their website?
Well, I mean, that is a huge factor right now in web design is I think it's between 70 and 80% of all searches are now done on a mobile device. I think it's 70. So a huge percentage, right? And so if your website, and you can test it yourself really easily, just go on your phone or your tablet and pull up your website. And if it doesn't look right, or if your links aren't working properly, then your site is not what they call responsive or mobile ready. And that is a huge, huge factor. If it kind of gets a little bit technical, but to keep it simple, there's a text underneath a website that makes it mobile ready, to where when it realizes that someone is viewing that site from a certain device, and most of the time it's device specific. So your website, if it's mobile ready, will look one way on an iPhone, and it'll look another way on a desktop computer, and a third way on a tablet. But each way is optimized for that screen that people are viewing it on, and it works better, and it's easier to use. So it's going to convert better. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. And that's one of the biggest things right now with, like I said, more and more people using different devices, is making sure that your website is responsive.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know we went through that when we did a web redesign a couple years ago. And I think the biggest challenge, and this speaks to everything related to, search engine optimization, whether on desktop or mobile, is things are constantly changing. Like Google is not static, right? And what the Google, I would say the Google gods, what the Google gods want is changing, right? Like sometimes it feels like every week and they do a big change or upgrade or, change their algorithm, and then everybody goes into a tailspin.
Right. Well, and that's why the idea of outsourcing your SEO is a really good one for any small business who really wants to tackle and start getting more clients online, because you're going to get an expert who's keeping up on that and who's giving you a report, or at least we do. Every month we give a report to all of our clients who have an SEO service that shows you exactly what we've done and how it's affecting your traffic. And so that's why I like to say we have measurable results, because a lot of times, I mean, the first web design and SEO that I paid for as a small business owner was a disaster. I ended up with a website that I didn't like, and on a server that I didn't know where it was, and I really didn't know what to do with it. It was just a big waste of money as far as I could see. So having someone that you trust and that is going to be really transparent throughout the process is so important. And that's the one thing, no matter who you hire, make sure that they are going to be transparent with what you're getting for your money and how it's going to result in better sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Because to your point, this is so technical. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs who, and myself included in that, who, kind of, we want to bury our head in the sand a little bit. Like, that's just like overwhelming to think about. So being able to have somebody that you can trust come in and as you said, also, be closing the loop on the progress. That's the biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of folks, whether they hire an SEO expert or a publicist or whatever. It's like, okay, what is the outcome? We did all these things. Right. Like, what's the equation here? What am I getting out of this?
Yeah. And now Google recently changed their algorithms, as you mentioned, they do it often, to increase the necessity for off-site SEO. So that's the link back to your page from other people, which is such a time-consuming thing, right?
Yeah,
writing content for other people's websites just to get the link back. I mean, that's what a lot of people resort to if they have the time, and it's just it can be such a challenge. But to be able to hire somebody who can do it well and for much less than you would hire an employee, to have in-house is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, very good deal. Awesome. Well, I am so excited to learn about your business. Congratulations. This is really, really great to have you in the community. Gina, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, they have questions about SEO or questions about your services, what's the best place for them to go?
So the website is SanDiegoSEOSolutions.com. And if you put a /tools at the end of that, so SanDiegoSEOSolutions.com/tools, I've got 2 free tools there. I can do that website analysis to show you where you are with your online marketing. It doesn't cost anything, and I'll just send you a report that's done and gives you a really good indication of where you need to focus your energy. And then there's also a free tool that shows you the steps that we would actually take, but you can do them yourself right there by following this free step-by-step guide to increase your ranking on local search. So it's kind of all laid out there for those DIY people who like to just see about getting their feet wet, doing it on your own. There's that as well.
Well, and so I've run those, I don't know if it's this tool, but a similar tool perhaps. And I can tell you as somebody who then got that report of like what needs to be done, my eyes glazed over and I hired somebody. So it is nice.
It can be a lot.
See it. You're like, what? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you so much for your time, Gina. I really, really enjoyed our conversation.
I did too, and thank you so much again for having me on.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.